Great, you're welcome to FB Viral and Marketing Social App. In this guide, I'm going to take you on a step-by-step walkthrough on setting up the FB Viral and Marketing Social App, an app that allows you to save your content and allow it to be shared virally from Facebook. You could have any content which you can hide, which only when a share action is taken, that is then they can have access to the contact. And while doing this, you can create a clean list of your leads, which you can always send out an autoresponder email to and keep communicating with them to create better conversions. So join me as I take you first to our control panel dashboard, where we'll be setting up the database as well as the subdomain, or if you have a primary domain, you can also do the installation on it. So let me now take you straight to the cPanel dashboard. All right, here we have a typical cPanel dashboard from eHost or HostGator. You could use any of them if you already have an existing one. Now you could install it on an already existing domain if you have a primary domain you've just acquired. But if you have an existing domain that has other content on it, you can come straight to set up what we call a subdomain. Here you can find it under the domains category here. So I hit on subdomains. I want to set up an FB subdirectory, which we'll now use to set up our FB social marketing app. So I call this just FB. I call this FB, and I want to link it to what we have here. We already have a domain which I want to use. Okay, I use this shortcut jar. So I can have this pointed to my document root, which is a public HTML underscore HTML / I could have it this way, and it falls within this root domain. Depending on your structure of your files, you could have it already set for you on document root by having this created this way. So if we want to access the tool we call the file manager, you're also going to see how I will locate this file and work from it directly. So I hit on create. Alright, so we've already successfully created our subdomain pointed to FB, the shortcode jar.co. I want to come back to the dashboard. Again, what we want to create now is the database. We've created a file directory where we'll dump our FB, our viral social marketing app. So we also want to create a database. To create a database, I want to use what we have here as MySQL database wizard, which will allow us to create a database name, a database user, as well as a database password. So look truly, I hit here. So as you look carefully, you get to see I want to also call this FB social. Let's call this FB social. Alright, so hit the next step. Alright, I also want to give it the same name, FB social. Okay, FB social. Alright. So notice that our database name is a little different from our database username, different from the letter L. So I give it a password. I do the same, I give it a password. Alright, so great. So we hit on create user. The next step will require me to assign user privileges, which is what I have here. So you notice that we have a user, _FB social, and database as _FB social. So once you do that, we've selected the entire privileges. You come straight down here and hit the next step. Once you do that, the database must have been successfully created. So we've successfully created a new database. I can copy this now as database name, save it on a text file somewhere, as well as copy the username. But I already have this committed to memory, so I believe you also recall. So we'll have to go back to our cPanel dashboard. This time I'm going to open the first has to do with our MySQL admin, which is a PHPMyAdmin. PHPMyAdmin allows you to quickly access the database we've just created. Now you see that the database we've created is just an empty database. Nothing is on the database, so we'll have to populate the database because our file, our app, which is the FB Viral and Marketing Social app, comes with a database dump that will allow the database tables to be created. So to do so, I will have to access it from the phpMyAdmin, which has just opened now. So I'll have to locate my newly created database, which is FB Social, which is a new database we've created. So you can see it here. FB Social is a new database. You can see that the database is clean, nothing is already populated in it, but our application came with a database which allows us to populate on it. So let's now access the file. To access the file, I want to open what we have here. This is a FB Viral and Marketing Social app which you will be accessing. If you open this to extract it, you will notice here that we have a folder that is called include. If you open this include folder, you'll notice that we have a file here that is called dump.sql. I would want to pick just this dump, drag it out to my folder here. So I have a clean file here which I want to import into my database. So I've brought this out. Recall that we got this from the include directory, which is this include of our package file. So we open it and we saw the dump SQL. Once we upload our application on the file manager, we're working next with this file, which is the config file. Then now let's come first to populate or import our table. So we'll come to the phpMyAdmin again. At this point, we want to use the import tool. This is your import tool. Hit on import tool. As we hit on import tool, it will require you to browse to locate the file where your dump database is, and the dump database is what we just brought out from our include directory that is in our FB Viral and Marketing Social app. So I open this. Of course, you now see I'm accessing my directory from which I have removed it from the compressed file down here for it to just be a single file, because it will be difficult for you to want to open this at this point to want to access the file. This is the file we want. So I've gotten it. I hit on open. So once I've gotten that, I'll come straight down here and hit on go. Once I hit on go, the action it's triggered to extract the files and populate my database with the necessary tables. Great, so successfully extracted our database tables into our newly created database. At this point, our database is set. What we'll have to do next is to go over to our control panel dashboard, which is where I am now. So on our dashboard again, we want to access our file manager so that we locate our created subdomain directory. Now recall that while we were creating a subdomain directory, we pointed it into our public underscore HTML, which is usually the public HTML that houses several files that goes online. So at this point, I would want to locate our directory which we created, which is fb.shortcode.co, which is what we have here. So I have fb.shortcode.co. So I open this. Great. So at this point here, I want to upload our FB Viral and Marketing Social app. So I'll come straight up here and hit on upload. Recall that this is a live server, so several things are just happening all at the same time. So hit on FB Viral and Marketing Social app. So hit here and hit on open. Once it's fully uploaded, you get to see the percentage progress as it's scrolling down here. Because you can see that we are already at 100%. So at this point, we can now hit to go back, and it takes us back to the file manager directory file listing. So we have a file listing here. You just select this. You can select this and hit on extract here, and it extracts it. Or you can just select it and right click on your mouse. Once you right click on your mouse, you see the pop-up menu and you hit on extract. So hit on extract files here. Of course, it will populate the entire files that we have on that. Great, you can see the entire files, you can see the include from which we got our file, the dump file which we populated on our database. Now we got here, let me go back here so you understand what has happened here. Yeah, so these are entire files for our application, our FB Viral and Marketing Social app. So at this point, I want to locate the config file, because the config file I will have to set up my parameters to allow the application to come up correctly. So I come down to include directory. On the include directory, we want to edit the config.php file, just as I mentioned before. So I'll also select this. I'll right click, I'll hit on edit. So it takes us to a new browser page which all the codes will be displayed, and we'll see how to edit the parameters accordingly. Alright, great. So we'll have our files opened up here. Already we have parameters already fixed up for you here. We have our global settings, which has to do with your app URL, which you set up here. You also have the app folder, which you also need to set up. You can also leave this blank. We also have the database access, the localhost database name, as well as database password. You also have Facebook app settings here. You can get to see the Facebook app ID. You can also get to see the Facebook app secret here, and you can also get to find the Facebook app token just as applied here. You can also set the MailChimp subscription parameters. So let's change this to what it is truly as, and let's get it done together so you can also get to see how you could do yours. First, let's apply database parameters, or rather, let's apply our API app URL. Our app URL will be this. Going back to our file manager, this will form our app URL. If you copy this down and come to your browser here and hit this down, so this becomes your app URL. So if you copy this up now, you'll notice here that HTTP is also applied here for you. Alright, great. So you can now add HTTP. Alright, so this forms our app URL. Now the next point is your database name. Your database, of course, your database host is localhost. Now your database name, you can also pick it from the open database here. This forms a database name. We've copied that. I want to copy it, so I just copied that. Now you go back to our database name. We drop it in here. Alright, so drop it in there. Now the next is your database user name. We drop it in here. Recall that we said that this is different with the L not found in it. Then the next is our password. Now we have a very simple password which we used here. Alright, so we still apply the same password here. Now the next point you need to be concerned with is your Facebook app ID as well as the app secret. So let's go over to our browser to create a new Facebook application and get the Facebook app ID as well as app secret that we can see from developers.facebook. Alright, so you can see here that we are accessing developers.facebook.com. That is a domain with which you can create new application for your Facebook, which will allow you to connect to an application which you want to communicate with. So I come straight here and we see I'll have various applications we have here. I would want to just click on the app, and once you click on the app, you get to see create new app. Say add new app here. So hit on add new app. Now I want to call this app FB Social. Right, so we have that as FB Social. We've created it. Right. Alright, so you remove the word FB because it looks like Facebook. So you could have marketing social rather. Let's have it as marketing social. Right, so we now put the tone keyword here. Right, if we're right, we should be able to cross this stage. Alright, great, so we've crossed the stage now. So we are on our application now. You can see the application ID. Now you could come straight to the settings here and apply the domain with which you're working with. The domain with which we're working with is this. You recall, we're working with this domain. That's how we'll be assessing it. So you bring it back here and you drop it, HTTP. You drop it there. Alright, so that's the domain we're working with. So we have it there. Now you can now come straight here and come to set your settings on app review. Alright, save this first. You can have this saved. Alright, so we can just remove this and just drop the domain name alone and hit in save changes. Once the red symbol is gone, then we're good. Okay, let's make a further changes. Let's add HTTPS here and see how it goes. Alright, so you can give it the category, kind of the business, and you save changes. So at this point, we need to come to app review to keep our app active. So at this point, we turn on our app here. So it's questioning, you want to go public, we say confirm. You can say you must set app category before we go public, so let's keep it at business, so we can confirm. Right, so our app has gone public. At this point, you can double click on this, or you come back to dashboard. On your dashboard, you can find the app ID, which is what we have here, which is what we're copying. We're copying the app ID and applying it to our settings here. We are putting it in here. That's the Facebook app ID. We are replacing it. We are now copying our Facebook app secret. This is our app secret. We want to show that. So submit. Great. So we scroll down and we copy our app secret. Alright, so we come back here, we drop our app secret. Notice that your content has to come in between the inverted commas, so drop that. Now again, the next consign is your app token. Now notice here that you can copy the whole of this to set up your app token. So we can come straight up here and drop this here to get our app token. It's coming up, so we can scroll down to our very app, which is marketing social, which is what we have here, and this forms our app token. So we can copy all of this here. Alright, so we've gotten that done. We need to come back to drop it in there. Alright, so we drop it in here. Alright, so that forms our app token. Now the next consign is your MailChimp API key. So I'm also going to take you to a MailChimp account where you can drop your API key as well as a MailChimp list ID. Here on the MailChimp account, to locate the API key, you have to come down to account. Under account, you would need to hit on the extras tab. On the extras tab, you get to see the API key from which you can pick from. Let's say on account now. We're going straight to our extras tab. Right, so we have to go down to account here. On account, we need to come to extras. On extras, you find API keys. Now, if you've not created an API key before, if you scroll down, you see an option to create. But if you've created, you definitely get to see an API key like this, which you just select once and you right click to copy. I'll bring it back here to drop it on the inverted commas here, in between the inverted commas. That forms our API key. The next is your MailChimp list ID. This time you also go back to your MailChimp. You go to your list. Now I can pick any list I want here. If I pick any list I want to work with, all I need to do is to come to settings. So on the settings of this list, if you scroll down, you can find the list ID. This is it. You hit it once and you copy, you bring it back here, and you drop it in between the inverted commas. So we want to save our config files now. If everything is right, then we should be able to access the site. Recall that this is our URL, so this is the URL. Will be taken to our browser to see if everything will come up rightly. Once everything comes up rightly, then we're good. Alright, great. So we've been able to access our page where we dropped our files, our FB viral and marketing social app. So for us to be able to access or unlock a page, we'll have to connect with our Facebook. Alright, so few adjustments we made here on your app domain. You just type the subdomain without HTTP and it goes, you pick your category. Then if it comes to your Facebook login here, you click on it. When you pick on your settings, you add your valid auth redirect URL, same as your domain. Now on your quick start, you add the URL, which is what we have here, select web, and add your URL, which is what we have here. So once you fix all of this, you can now come back to your page, refresh it. Once it's refreshed, you hit on login with Facebook. Alright, so it authenticates. A marketing social will receive a public profile email. You said yes, you continue. It's Joshua. Alright, so it's gathering the details, sending it back. Great. So we have welcome Joshua Johnson. You can also check the back end here. So we're interested in the back end. We've logged in here now. So let's now go straight to check the back end. So at the back end here, you can get to see the connected account. You can also get to see settings. You can get to see the locked pages. You can also export and import. So once here, this gives you the rundown of the entire persons who have logged in to access your page using your FB viral and marketing social app. So already I'm just the first who have used it here, so you can see as much persons who clicked on it to access your content. Now if you come to settings, which is pretty the first configurations which you will need to confirm. If you hit in settings here, you can get to see that you can enable the MailChimp newsletter subscription, which the plugin is enabled. You can also force the users to share a message on Facebook to unlock the page. So if you have this enabled, it now shows link to share with your message. Here you have the required link, picture to share with your message. So you also drop it here. So once you do this, means you are forcing your users to share this to make it go viral. So you can also choose to disable this. Now, if you have enabled the email auto post, you can say thanks for using FB viral and marketing social app. You can now put the person's name here, thanks for using this, and an email will go out directly to the person. If you want to configure it the way that meets your campaign, you can do so. So once you do that, you hit and save. Now, once you are done setting up that, the next concern would be setting up your locked pages. Setting up a locked page has to do with dropping your HTML codes here. So you notice here that this is centralized. You have your picture or your welcome message here that goes with the name. You have you can also add the link. Doing this, if it becomes difficult, you can just set up a blog post well designed and copy the HTML and drop it here. Now let's do one together and see how it goes. I have a post which we promote. Alright, so I have a post open here on a blog which I want to share the content of the post. Let's say I want them to access this post and I want to keep it locked. Alright, so we can see this here. It is assumed I have fully edited the content of this post here, and I want the HTML format of it. You can just pick the text here. Let's see. So at this point, I want to quickly copy this out. This content I already have here. I want to ensure that I drop it into the directories we have here. I want to drop it in between the center we have here. Alright, so we can drop it there. Of course, you can also have the background image. If you have any you want to set it there, or you can leave it empty not to use a background image. So have it there, it says save. So we now have our locked content set for us. Right, so successfully save the locked content. At this point, still within your settings, you can also get to export. If you have an SAV file which you want to, you can download your entire users which have used your viral application to view your content. You can also import other users which you can now send notifications to, or you can send email to. You can now import them into it. You can see the format here, your Facebook ID, the name, the email, the token expires on that when it was created. Now if you come back to users here, you can see the users. We have just one user here. Once you select the user, you can send an email to the user. You can just say, hey, you can say, hey Josh, here is the promised. Have it. So it takes him to the page which he can now subscribe. Have it notification send. You can also select it to send notifications on the Facebook account. Hey, here is your content as promised. So you could have whatever you want to have here, then you send notification to the user, so that notification has been sent. Right, so you can also still select it. You can view message, the tokens which you've used. You can also select to also see send messages. So once you do this, so at this point here we have one user already, so you can now click this off and go back to your main page so you can see the page which we have here. Alright, so because I already have access to this, that's why I can see the content. Of course, you can see welcome Josh Johnson. It shows me the content. Alright, so let's now view this as a different user. You get to see what this happens here. Alright, so we're viewing this as a different user now. Alright, so you're not seeing the content here. As a different user is saying connect with your Facebook account to unlock the page. So until you unlock the page and get subscribed to the newsletter, that's then you can view the content. So you could have as much content as you want to. Let's see if we can view login with a different Facebook account. Right, so I've logged in as a different user to our account here. You can see the next user account here which we've logged into, and we want to access the logged content. We now have to authenticate as well. Right, so you say continue. Alright, great. So now welcomes like fell back, and you can get to see the closed content. So once I go back as an admin, I would also be able, because it's my Facebook account that's connected to it, so it senses me as an admin, I'll be able to view the number of users who have subscribed. So let's go back. Alright, so entering as an admin, I can get to see the number of subscribers as it keeps entering. So you can have as much persons as you have here. Once you have it, you can now select it and come to export. Alright, to download as SCV. If you download this, you can now open it. Alright, so you can see the Facebook ID. You can get to see the Facebook ID, you can get to see the Facebook name, you can get to see the email addresses, and you can also get to see the token. So once that is done, you can see how you can acquire email address and send emails out to your leads that you acquire using your FB viral marketing social app. So once that is done, you can always go back. Alright, so that's it here. So you can go through the setup process and get it done yourself.